All right, Jaden, you ready to record?
Oh, sorry, man. I'm not on my computer right now.
Bro, you're literally like, I'm looking right at you. You are home.
You have no idea where I am.
Oh, God. Hello there. Welcome to the Lost Cantina, the podcast that explores the characters, stories, and themes behind our favorite galaxy far, far away. I'm Kevin.
Reporting live from not Jeddah. I almost said Jeddah, but I'm not at Jeddah. I'm Jaden.
Where are you? Where are you?
You have no idea where I am.
It's just that line is so funny, dude.
It's so good because it's like they all know exactly where he's at.
Yeah, the memes I saw, the best one I saw earlier today was one with it was like when I go to the Lego store and my wife has been tracking my location and she's like, "Hey, why are you at the Lego store?" And he's like, "You have no idea where I am."
Where I am.
Oh man, it's great.
So good.
So we have sorry about this, folks. We were a little late on this episode. Jaden got sick. I had to build a new
Yep.
PC, which I have. For those on the YouTube, you can see I am at a different angle now.
Yes, special.
Yes, I'm redoing my whole entire setup, my room, the whole 9 yards. And then also, for those on the YouTube, you can probably see how sunburned I am because I went to the No Kings protest. I protested Tangerine Palpatine, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Empire, I don't want to be building the Death Star right now, but yeah. So it's been a long
5, aka El Salvador.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was a long 2 weeks, and episode 3 is ready. It is going to be dropping here soon. We have a final pass we have to do on it just to verify all our audio levels, and
You'll have heard that one if you're hearing this one. So
Yeah.
hopefully you enjoyed it.
Yeah. But yeah, then we have a couple things coming up. We just wanted to let you guys know that we have a couple things coming up soon. We're going to be doing some interview episodes and some other discussions coming up. We have a whole plan. Just bear with us. There's a lot of planning involved, but it's going to be really fun. And I'm excited.
We're looking forward to, like, we love talking about Andor. We love discussing Andor, but we're looking forward to doing some, like, original podcast stuff again, which will be great.
Yeah.
And we're hoping you guys have been enjoying this coverage, and hope you enjoy us talking, like, about original topics for a little bit as well.
Yeah, the show coverage is always fun, but also, like, we really want to, like, focus on, like, some lore and, like, just discussions. Like, I got a discussion the other day from an old friend from high school. She was arguing with her boyfriend about, like, can Jedi use the dark side and still be considered Jedi? Can Sith use the light side, still be considered, like, Sith and all that? And I was like, well, technically, yes. And I said, also, technically, Mace Windu has used the dark side. Technically, that Force lightning, he did technically bounce it back. So it was like he had an influence on it. It was a whole thing. But she was like, oh, no, I lost the argument. But, yeah, we have some episode ideas that we've been thrown our way. So, yeah, our social media has been a little dead at the moment just because, we've been dealing with the real life Empire.
We've been dealing with life.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, so again, that's a great lead into our segue. What am I, Linus? No.
The lead into a segue is crazy.
I know. But if you do have episode ideas, please email us. Email us at loreparty. Not lore party. Wow, I can't believe I said lore party. That's old school. Email us at thelostcantinapod@gmail.com. And you can also find us on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, bluesky. Hit us up. Give us some more episode ideas. We will talk about it. We'll shout you out by name too if you want us to. If you feel comfortable with it, or if you have a username instead.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Jaden, what's today's episode going to be about?
Today is last but not least the finale trio of Andor season 2.
I would say one of the best finales of a show.
Confetti cannons going off. You can't see them, audio listeners, but I definitely had them. Go check out our YouTube video if you don't believe me.
Yeah.
Kevin's definitely going to add the confetti cannons in.
Yeah, we'll add confetti cannons in. I'll add some confetti. But yeah, we're going to talk about the ending of Andor and the finale, if you will, of season 2, because we all know Rogue One is the real finale.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And there's a lot of shit. This one moves fast. These 3 episodes, they're super fast, in my opinion. I felt like it didn't. I mean, even the Gorman stuff. The Gorman stuff may be my favorite, but it I don't want to say it dragged on, but it was the pacing was really well done.
So this is the one thing that I will say about
the
one of the negatives that I felt about Andor season 2 as a whole now that it's completed is that you definitely felt like season 1 was a little slower.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 was definitely like, oh shit, we originally planned for 5 seasons of this crap, and then they canceled the 5 seasons, so we didn't get to do it. So we had to shove it all into one.
Yeah,
that's why things like this last episode, for example, like there was stuff, or these last 3 episodes, there was stuff in here where I'm like, this could have been a season. This could have been a whole season. This could have been a whole season. Like the Gorman stuff should have been a whole season on its own. I would agree. Yeah, Gorman should have been its own season. Luthen, what happens to Luthen in this episode probably should have been a whole season.
Yep.
Because well, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Like you've spoilers going forward if you haven't seen the finale of Andor season 2. Luthen's exposure should have been a whole season. Luthen gets exposed in this episode, or in the first episode of this arc, and it's like that should have been a whole season.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of weird that it was like Daedra was not on his tail for the entirety of this season, and then it was like, oh right, Axis, I'm tracking that, and then it was like she figured it out, and it was like a year of her obsessing over it after the loss of Cyril would have been amazing. Axis was on Gorman. Oh fuck, I need to kill this fucking guy because he killed my boyfriend's lover, peon, bitch boy, whatever you want to call him.
Whatever, yeah.
Pawn, yeah.
Yeah, so this I would agree with it. This one felt really quick and rushed, but not rushed in the sense of like
it was good. It was good.
Still like the pacing for what it was good, but it definitely felt like we could have had way more content out of this. And I think everybody feels like that. The memes are great posts, by the way.
The memes from this are
fantastic.
fantastic.
And people are connecting a lot of aspects of Andor right now with what's going on in the real world in the United States, and it's kind of fucking freaky how we just had like a week ago, not even a full week ago, a senator was dragged out of a meeting, reporting, and he was, by the way, he was actually brought there by the Trump administration, so that was a whole thing too. They brought him there, then claimed he crashed it, which he didn't, and then they dragged him out. And as he's screaming, getting arrested, it's like similar, exactly, almost to the Gorman senator getting arrested. It's fucking wild.
People were like, "What the? This is too close."
When Rob Reich is, retweeting and putting videos out that are Star Wars Andor, and is like putting parallel videos out there, and there are other people doing it, you're fucked.
It's a little close to you've lost the plot a little bit.
Oh yeah. And I will tell you this, if you are still a Star Wars fan after Andor and after all this, but you're still, and I don't care, I will say it, if you're still a Trump supporter, you have totally lost the fucking plot. Completely. So.
Be hard to argue against that, to be honest.
Yeah. But we're going to get into this episode now. Enough of our ranting. We're going to get into this episode here. But before that, we're going to take a quick break. We will be right back. Alrighty then, handle
All
that.
righty.
So,
So this episode, like this again, like we said, like this is just real quick. There's no breaks on this one. We it was like oh gosh, let me restart. Luthen and Clea are like, okay, we're screwed. Like we gotta leave. We've been burned.
Yeah.
They know who we are. But Lonnie, the ISB agent who's been like their man on the inside for so long, says, "Hey, I have to meet. We have to meet right now. Like I've got to talk to you right now. It's important." And Luthen's like, "I gotta go. I gotta go to the meeting where I'm just gonna go." And so much stuff gets dropped in this meeting. It was so cool.
oh yeah.
Lonnie. I hate to say it, like this would have been cool for like again a whole. I'm gonna keep saying it. A whole season of Lonnie figuring the Death Star stuff out would have been cool.
Yep.
Because Lonnie gets there, like Lonnie's panicking, and Luthen's like, "Why are you panicking?" Lonnie panicked and burned himself. Lonnie got a hold of Daedra's password for her ISB files, and rather than just giving that information to Luthen, he logged in for 3 hours and got like every single bit of data that he could.
Yep.
To the point where it was very clearly him who had it.
Yeah, he kind of. Well, here's the thing. Lonnie only wanted to be in this whole situation for a year, and then it's like 4 or 5 years later, he's still there. And at this point, Lonnie's like, "This is the end all be all situation," because what he finds out about is the Death Star, and so finding that out, that is the end all be all of everything. You have a planet killer like weapon, like that's it. And so Lonnie sees this as, well, there's no fucking way I could stay in the ISB now that I have this information. Yep. There's no way they're not going to find out it was me. There's no way they're not going to find out. So he's like, all right, it's time for me to get out. Now, I don't want to say he burned himself on purpose, because he does have a kid and a spouse that he's like trying to get out, you know?
I think that I think that like him being with that organization for so long, or like being part of Axis for so long, I think it like made him paranoid that he was going to get caught. So he positioned himself to be like, I have information that's so valuable, Luthen will have to let me go.
Yeah.
But like the information that he got was even more valuable than that, to the point where he was burned, and he's like, I have to get out. And
yeah,
it was crazy too, because like the way that Luthen. I knew something bad was going to happen. The second Luthen, he was like, where can we go that will be safe? And Luthen was like, he didn't say like, oh, I have a safe house. He was like, Yavin. And I was like, oh, poor Lonnie. Oh, that sweet boy. Yeah. Oh, you're about to die.
Well, see, so here's the thing. I actually thought, I don't know, man. I actually kind of did think like they were all going to Yavin. I thought Luthen was going to, because they're trying to get the hell out of there. But yeah, I felt like that's where they were all going to go, and so I kind of felt like Lonnie was going to be there, but also
I'm not gonna lie, I thought Lonnie was what character in Rogue One, but I found out they're two separate characters. He looked like a guy that I thought was in the control room, but it was a different guy.
Got it. Okay. Well, yeah. So here's the thing. He talks to him. He gives him all the information, and Luthen looks terrified. It's like the first time Luthen actually looks.
Yeah, Luthen doesn't look like he's in complete and total control of the situation.
No,
for the
Luthen's
first time.
like, holy shit. And he starts putting the pieces together, and he and Lonnie are sitting there and just on a bench in the middle of Coruscant. And that whole sequence where you just see Lonnie has been nervous before, right? Like season 1, he was nervous and stuff. Never seen him like this. We've never seen Luthen lose control of his like emotions and let his fear show like this before. And you just see, it's like, oh shit, this is the big one. This is but Luthen is like, here's the thing. Luthen finally got what he wanted. He got the, holy grail of information on the Empire. Aside from the Sith Lord bullshit, but this is the holy grail of weaponry.
Here's the thing. I don't think the Sith Lord thing would even matter to Luthen, because it would be like, oh, cool, he's evil.
Yeah, we already knew that. Yeah, but this is like the holy grail of intel, and it's like finding out about nukes, right? Like that's what equivalent of is like being like, oh shit, I figured out the Manhattan Project. I know what it is, and basically you're too late, essentially.
There's not just a bunch of horny communists in the desert. They're actually building a bomb.
Yeah. And so it's his final meeting with Lonnie.
He does call it that. He's like, I got one more meeting.
Yeah. And we find out that Lonnie later on, but we'll just say it now. We find out that Lonnie was pew-pewed on the bench, and it was done by Luthen, which is kind of sad because Lonnie's kid and spouse are kind of like, now what?
Well, and that's interesting too because, Lonnie said like, "Will my family be safe?" And Luthen was like, "Absolutely." And I think he's right. I think with Lonnie dead, the Emperor has no reason to hurt his family.
Yeah, I'd agree.
There's
with
no
that.
value in punishing his family after the fact.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And so now Luthen's like, we got to get the fuck out of here now. He's like, oh shit, like timelines, because when you get intel like this, man, like you got to move fast. And it's difficult intel to send over the radio waves because at that point he's like, I mean, I feel like you want to do it, correctly and go fast, but the interception of that could happen
they'll change
quickly.
everything.
Oh God. Oh yeah. And so this is the point where he's like, all right, we gotta get the fuck out of here now. And he ends up meeting with Clea, and Clea, like, basically the whole thing with Clea is like he gives her the words, right?
Yeah.
It's
kind of similar to Andor in Rogue One. He's
Mhm.
like, "You're the messenger. You're carrying the message."
Yeah. And the way he gives her, like, just basically like, say these like 4 words to memorize it. Do you have it memorized? She's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, you have to go. And he's like, I'll be behind you, but like I have to stay for a little bit.
He's like, I gotta destroy our network. I gotta go burn the Axis network because if I don't do that, everyone's gonna get caught.
Yep. And that's the big thing is like he knows like I don't have a lot of time, and he burns like this. He uses like this like liquid. It basically looks like mercury.
It does look like I was going to say it's liquid mercury.
Yeah, he pours it on the radio that they've been using in his office, and it's kind of cool because it just starts melting everything and like destroying the whole thing. But as he's doing that, somebody shows up to his shop.
Miss Daedra's here.
Yeah. That scene, honestly, I would agree with you. I loved it. It felt intense, very tense moment. But I feel like it would have been way better if there was a season of her investigating.
Like, here's the thing: she was super into the finding the Axis network in season 1.
Yep.
But then season 2 was all about Gorman.
Yeah.
So I feel like there wasn't the satisfaction for me wasn't as strong there as it could have been.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, the characters in the moment are amazing. Like there's the quote from Luthen of the rebellion's not here anymore. It's gone, flown away. Mm-hmm. There's an entire galaxy of people out there just waiting to disgust you. I was like, oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah, it's and it's being used. These episodes are being like these last 3 specifically are being used in media right now.
Yeah.
It's badass. It's absolutely badass because it's fucking real and it's right. And him basically being like, you have no control and you hate that because all you're about is control.
Yeah.
It's great. It's just so good.
To borrow a quote from Princess Leia, the more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more systems will slip through your fingers.
Exactly. It's kind of cool too because she just has that fucking thing that I will say, I know I told you this. Cassian, the thing that Cassian was originally going to sell to her, right? Or to him, to Luthen, in like the first 3 episodes, right? Do you remember? That's what she has.
Yeah. The
like,
was it a hyperspace scrambler?
Hyperspace, like, yeah, it was like the hyperspace like ID and
Imperial transponder code. That's what it was. Yeah.
Cassian wanted it. He was like trying to go back and get it in the machinery room, and Luthen was like, leave it, nobody's got it, like, leave it,
it's not as valuable as you.
And that is, if he had grabbed it and was able to get it, they would have never been able to find Luthen.
Yeah.
So, but I think the conversation is pretty interesting because like he's holding a knife, and it's a kind of cool looking knife.
I think it's called a Nautilin Bleeder, I think is what it's called.
It's fucking sick looking. It's cool.
It's the same species that Kit Fistu is.
Yeah, it's sharp, dangerous, all that, and she walks in there and is like, "Oh, is anything else here? Like, is anything fake?" And he like calls out like everything. We have a couple things that are like in question, and like if anything, he's talking about the two of them,
Yep.
or he's talking about himself and maybe the knife because she doesn't really know anything about the knife. She's like asking questions, but yeah, that whole scene is intense as fuck. And he turns around. She's like, "Well, haha, I got you. You're surrounded." And then he's like convulsing all of a sudden. She's like, "What the fuck?" And then he stabbed himself. He's like, "All right, cool.
Himself.
I bet
He's like, all right. If I kill myself, she won't get any intel out of me because he knows how efficient they are at pulling stuff out.
He knows how to be tortured. He knows how to torture. We'll find out about that later too. Probably, yeah. I would assume he knows how to torture. But yeah, she freaks out. Is like, "I need him alive." And we see this really cool, like we see like them storm the building and all that, and they're like looking at the machine and they're like, "Fuck, this machine is destroyed," and like that she basically has this whole operation in the building and like the all of the bots, the droids that show up to try to save him and everything. It's pretty intense. It's a pretty intense moment, and Clea turns out she said nope. I'm not gonna leave because here's the reason. Here's the reason. I'll say this. A lot of people are like, "Oh, she wants to do him right. She wants to make sure yeah, sure. Okay. She knows that if he lives, they're fucked.
Yep.
Operational.
So there's a part of her that loves Luthen. There's a part
strangely
of her
that grew that we find out about later.
Yeah, we find out, but at the same time, she knows that operational security comes first.
Yep.
There's a part of her that like obviously there's sadness when she does what she has to do, but there's this note you can see it in her face where like she knows if the roles were reversed, Luthen would be doing the exact same thing. If Clea was wounded like this, he would be sneaking in and turning off her oxygen.
Yep. So Clea has this really dope fight. Basically, they bring him to this hospital. It's a cool. I would say like I actually found this aesthetic of like hospitals and not just like going into a droid room where you're being kept alive, because we've seen in Star Wars a lot of the times it's just like droids keeping people alive. We don't really see doctors per se.
Yeah.
But in this we see a hospital with like. You can buy the clear shoes that they're wearing in the hospital. They are pretty. I mean, it looks kind of cool.
TikTok account, because you and I are obsessed with TikTok. There's a TikTok account that finds Star Wars props on Amazon.
Yeah.
I fucking love that. I'm gonna look that up if
I tried to buy the Mandalorian mugs that they use, those like silver mugs, and they never showed. I'm pretty bummed out about that. But yeah, so this hospital is pretty cool. The aesthetics, like, it's clean. Like everybody's in these like clear shoes and all this stuff, and it's supposed to be really clean. And so they like the ISB.
It's called For the Lore.
There you go, For the Lore. The ISB locks down the hospital, and the hospital, Daedra's in charge until Daedra's not in charge.
Yep.
What's the guy's name? Who's the guy who's been under her the whole time, or like kind of like a peer? And
he's just another ISB agent. I can't remember.
I forgot his name, but he's been the one who actually was in charge of that file, basically, for Luthen. And she did the work for him.
He was removed from the access file to go work on the Gorman file, and I guess she was just never given it back.
I don't know, but basically what happens is he shows up and arrests her.
Yep.
And she's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "No, you're under arrest because you broke protocol. You went behind the ISB's back. Like, you were not supposed to. Nobody gave you the authority to go arrest him. We didn't have a plan. All this other shit." And so she's like protesting this, and then she's like, "Whatever, fuck you." And at her point, she's like, "I'll prove that what I did was the right thing." And so now he's in charge, and then the hospital director comes in later on, and he's just like, "Open my fucking hospital back up. What the fuck?" And he's like, "No, I could arrest you." And it's like a whole thing. They get an argument.
That's whole sequence where he's like, "I could arrest you for interfering with an ongoing ISB investigation." And he was like, "Never mind. You do.
Never mind." Yeah. So the whole floor is Luthen's. Guards everywhere, and Clea just shows up. She's at the safe house. She goes to the old safe house, gets some stuff, prepares, and that's when she's preparing to go get Luthen. And the whole episode we start seeing flashbacks. And I thought these flashbacks were pretty cool. I couldn't tell if it was during the Clone Wars or not, but then
No, it's not.
I realized it was post Clone Wars. Because you were telling me like, no, this is like after the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Basically we see Clea's. It was always implied that Clea was not Luthen's daughter, but then we get confirmation that she, yes and no, Luthen kind of took her under his wing.
Yeah.
When she was a very small child, because Luthen turns out was an Imperial Army officer. He was a sergeant, right?
I think so. Yeah. He was an Imperial officer. They were on a planet. He had just killed a bunch of people, a specific group of people. Turns out was her family.
Yeah.
So.
And you could tell that he was like he's very very affected by the massacre. He's not happy that he had to participate in it, and I think that's his whole thing is that we see he's spending his entire life fighting the rebellion, but also trying to atone for what he did and what he was a part of.
She sees him sitting in a chair while she's hiding in the ship, and he's just like, "Make it stop, make it stop." And he just keeps saying it like over and over again because it's like he has like a form of PTSD. But it's not like of being attacked, it's being the attacker.
Being the attacker.
Like I don't know. He's really like traumatized in the moment, and I felt like the de-aging was really good in this. I actually felt like
makeup was actually done really well.
It wasn't over the top. It wasn't too much. It was just right. And so in this flashback, he finds her, and she's like, "Oh shit, I'm dead." Nah, he's like, "I'm not gonna kill this kid." So he like tells her to go back in there and hide, gives her some food or whatever. And all these other troops keep coming in. And we're like, "We need you, we need you." He's like, "I'm dealing with it. I got it." And he's like, that's when he starts stalling right away. He like starts like saying, "Well, I got to restart the ship. Sorry, I got orders. Got to do this. Got to do that."
I got things to do.
He's starting now. That's like the beginning of him being like, "Fuck." His
first act of rebellion is to spare this innocent child.
Yeah, he's like, "Fuck this. I'm gonna mess with it." And we then see, like, they're on Naboo, and she is older, and they're kind of put together now, and they're sitting at a.
Well, wait, you gotta remember. You go back a little bit. There was a sequence when she was a little bit older, and he was just starting to do his antique trade, his treasures trade, and she's asking him like, "When are we gonna fight back?"
Yeah,
and he's like, "I mean, we can't right now. Like, do you want to do that?"
Like, he's not really trying to fight.
No, he's just trying to
keeps pushing.
She's the one that wants to fight. I think he just wants to survive. He wants like Luthen's original act of rebellion is to keep Clea alive. Correct. That was all he was wanting to do. I spared this child. That's my small act of rebellion. But she, turns out, is the one pushing. We thought this entire time it was Luthen's Axis network. No, it was Clea's.
Yeah, so that's the crazy thing here is like everybody thinks that Luthen was the main guy, but it was actually Clea. I mean, Luthen was a main guy, but Clea was the actual person who was pushing
everything.
To
she
do
was,
this.
She was the one.
And then she was like the whole, I don't want to say mastermind, but she was like the driving force to creating the network and all of it.
She was the one that wanted to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. Like Luthen, honestly, I think like from what I can tell, Luthen would have been more comfortable just being an information dealer for the rebellion, but Clea was the one that kept pushing more towards active operations, and that's what got them on the ISB's radar.
Yeah. And so back to Naboo, after we see them do their couple trades and stuff, and she's the one, you see how pushy she is and like how she actually handles the situation, and she gets them like a good price and all this other shit. And she's very observant. We learn about like how, okay, she's legit. And then we go on Naboo and we see that they're like sitting there, and it's it's kind of a symbolic thing. This is like the first attack on the Empire, like true attack, and it's on Naboo, which is where the Emperor is from, homeworld and all that. And Luthen's like, hold on. He's like coaching her on how to do this, and we wait a while, and he goes like, okay, now you can do it. And he goes, and when we do this, he goes,
there is no going back.
There is no going back. And then he's like, also, you know, to escape, like, we're walking. Do not run. Do not do anything. Like, walk. And they blow up a bunch of Imperial, like, transports.
I haven't seen confirmation of this, by the way, but the Imperial transports might have been on the same bridge for Padme's funeral.
Wow.
Yeah.
The symbolism here is, like, crazy. And so, yeah, so then they're leaving the area. And she's like, okay, cool, like, let's keep going. And he's just like, you got to be patient with this shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, she just wants to go all out. And, yeah.
She's like, oh, boy, here I go killing again.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I mean, like, now we learn, like, why she is the way she is. We learn that she hates the you know, the Imperials for taking literally everything from her, like many others. And so now we're in the present day, and she infiltrates the hospital. We watch her do this whole infiltration thing, and it's really fucking cool how she gets the outfit and all that stuff. And when
she's so effective at the infiltration that the original assumption is that there was a team of 3.
Yeah, that's the thing. All basically throughout the whole thing, at the end of it, they think it was 3 people, and it was actually only her, and it's fucking cool. How she does it.
It's that great line of like, make 10 men feel like 100.
Exactly. And one of the funny ones right now is like, she gets like this old lady and is like, she's an alien, and she brings her up the elevator to try to like show that like that's where like she's, you know, working and all that stuff.
I'm a nurse. Yeah.
And then they're in the elevator, and the old person just goes, eh? And then she just goes, what? And that meme is so funny. I saw one where it was like, listening to Star Wars Theory, you know, bitch about Andor and complain about all this stuff, and then it just goes, eh. And you're like, what? And it's just so. But anyway, yeah, so she does this really cool infiltration thing. She's, you know, taking out everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. It's badass.
It's super cool.
It's badass.
And she makes it to Luthen's room, and that's where we find like she unplugs his devices, and he's gone. We lose Luthen, which was crazy.
Yep.
I like that sequence. I thought it was a great way to show like, hey, you know, he's dying for the sunrise he will never see. And it's crazy because like timeline wise, the Death Star is gonna blow up in like 3 days. Like he literally didn't get to see it.
Yeah. And she gives him a kiss and everything, and is like, see ya. So long. Thanks for all the fish. Appreciate it.
And she manages to get out, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And this is not, and so what I love about this too is that because Luthen dies, right? Daedra has nothing.
So that's the other thing. Daedra still doesn't know that he's
dead.
He's
sitting in an interrogation room at ISB headquarters. The same, like a very similar room to the one that she had Cyril in all those years ago.
Yeah. It's what happens when in fascism, it eats itself.
Yep.
And we see her, you know, the ISB is freaking out. Because the other thing too is like the other guy that took over is trying to blame it on Daedra. And Daedra keeps sitting there like, no, that's not mine. That's his now. He took responsibility for it. And we see she's just sitting in the room, and she's watching the people through the window and stuff. And somebody shows up. And they are scary.
Director Orson Krennic.
Yeah.
And this is the, if you want to talk about memes, he like sneaks up behind her, and then he takes his fucking finger and he just puts it down on top of her head, and it freaks her the fuck out. Apparently that was improvised.
Yeah. I just watched an interview about it. It was improv. He did it, And well, obviously he asked first and was like, "Hey, I want to try this thing out." And she was like, "Do it, yeah, go for it, go for it." So he does it. He puts the finger on her head, and they do a take. And then the director's like, "Actually, leave your finger on her head and then walk around her." And he's like, "Oh, all right, cool." And they understood the assignment. They were like, "I know what you're trying to get at here." And it was great. It made her feel so fucking small.
Small. If she was a bug that he had pinned in place. There was like she thought she was so mighty and powerful, but here, I mean, I don't know what the in terms of hierarchy is, but like director Krennic has got to be like in the top 5 of Imperial leadership at this time.
So the Death Star is not known by like anybody.
Yeah.
Like the Death Star is still like the boogeyman weapon that nobody
So
knows
I think
about.
and like so if you think about that, like Jadra knows if this guy's mad at me, I'm going to get disappeared because it's safer for me to just go than to deal with me.
Yeah. Well,
there's
the other thing.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say the other thing too is like not only does she know because she works for the ISB, she knows what's in store for her, but also she does try to like plead a little bit of her case and say, "Hey, I found him. I did all the work. I did all this shit." And then they're like, "Yeah, well, he's fucking dead.
He's dead. We have nothing."
And so she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Who else knows? Who else?" And then he asks her too. He's like, "Why do you have these files? Why did you?" Because that's the other thing. She fucked up. She didn't report the files of the Death Star, and that's the big one. It was her.
Let's rewind a little bit. She was accidentally sent an email containing files related to the Death Star, and that's how Lonnie found it.
Yeah, which
and
if you think about it, it makes sense because she was in charge of the Gorman stuff, so she had something to do with the Death Star's creation. So like it was like an accidental. Oh, here you go. You weren't supposed to see this thing, and instead of like
it was a bureaucratic fuck up, which by the way is so fucking awesome because that happens all the time. In a normal society, you send an email that's like, "Hey, here's this." It's like, "Oh, disregard this email. Don't Hey, come in real quick, sign an NDA." In a fascist government, better safe to disappear you.
Yeah, and so the other thing too is she's greedy. She's greedy for that power. She is the machine.
She has nothing left to gain besides power.
Mm-hmm. And she wanted to know.
Yeah,
she wanted to know. And
which, by the way, did you notice they promised her like a big promotion for the Gorman operation? She's still the same level that she was after she got back from Gorman. They fucked her.
Yeah, she got screwed over.
Which is probably why she went after Axis. She's like, well, if I get Axis, I'll be able to rise up. And again, I wish we had gotten a full season of that. I would have loved to see the ISB director being like, "Hey, you did great on Gorman, but remember this was a top secret thing, so like we can't actually promote you. So like we'll just give you the job you had before."
The want for power, I would have loved to see her like losing,
spiraling
her, like that, like, and Cyril being like the beginning of it,
Yeah. Like I sacrificed everything for this, and he'd be like, "Well, not enough." Like I could see the director being like, "Not enough, as it would seem."
Yeah. And so that's the thing is they're like, "Who else knows?" And she's like, nobody knows. And then they were like, "Why does Lonnie Jung know? Why does he know?" She's like, "What?" And they're like, "Well," and then she's like,
"He had your password for 3 hours, and what could he have gotten?"
And so, Krennic's fucking pissed. And she realizes, that's when she realized, she's like, "I'm fucked.
Yep.
Like, I'm fucked." And we see her like freaking out, like through the window, like seeing people find out that Luthen died. And she's like, "Uh-oh." It's a pretty good, it's a pretty good scene. It's pretty freaky. Very authoritarian.
That's basically the last time we see her, right? Until the finale.
Yep. No, we see her one more time. We see her one more time before the actual end.
No, I'm saying like before the finale. Like she's in that montage at the end, but I'm pretty sure it's like the last time.
Yeah, but we see her one more time. I'll tell you. I'll bring it up when.
No,
You'll
I
be
know,
like,
I know, I know. I think we're saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing.
not the montage at the end.
Not the montage?
No.
Okay.
We see her one more time. Just one. I will tell you about it after. When we get to the point, I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
So now Cassian, Melshi, K2SO, they're at Yavin. They're chilling. They're playing like spacecraft.
In a stark contrast, they're playing space poker.
Yeah, space poker, spacecraft,
getting
whatever you
drunk.
call it. They're hanging out. And it's so funny because K2SO is just like losing. And he's like, I don't make me use my computer brain on you, bro.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the fuck?
They're like, you're a sore loser, K2SO. Why are you using your logic and sensors on this game? He's like, I don't get it. Why are you guys using your human brains to play this game?
It's very funny. K2SO is hilarious. Like,
Because basically, like, K2SO can do like the calculation of the odds of everything, but he can't figure out bluffs.
Yep.
So like, if someone's like, oh, it's like, he'll be like, oh, the odds of you having that are like 876,200 to 1. It's like, well, I have it. He's like, well, shit, that makes sense then. 'Cause that's the only reason why you would do it. It's like,
and that's the thing.
You're
He like starts
bluff, K2, and he's like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, he starts like doing calculations based on the bluff, and then it like screws up his whole entire thing, and he's just like, I can't do this. It's really funny to watch them all interact.
And they're like, play the cards, bitch, play the cards.
It quote humanizes them, if you want to use a term, because it's really fun to watch them just like, instead of being constantly on the run or constantly in fight or flight, they're just vibing and having a good time and hanging out on Friday night.
Well, I'm gonna take it even further. I was like, if we had more time, we could see this more flushed out, which I would love. But no, like, even if this was like, if this show was made in the 90s, man, we would have gotten 22 episodes. We would have gotten like so many human moments. K2SO would have been a puppet on sticks, so that would have sucked. But that puppet would have been the most human puppet ever.
Yeah, I do think that the way they filmed it though was really like,
oh, it's cool. It was so cool.
They did a great job. And so yeah, basically what happens is Willman's back. He's on Yavin, and he's with the one Gorman girl. Like, they're together.
Yep.
He got a limp. He can't do much now, but he's getting a radio signal. So after
a radio signal that he has not gotten in a long time.
Yep. So after
the Actus network of active operations is kind of dead, we find out.
Yeah. So after Clea leaves, she goes back to the safe house. After she gets rid of Luthen, she goes back to the safe house.
Yep.
She goes and breaks one of the walls out, and she's been doing it now for like an hour. She's like been hammering out. She gets an old communications radio, basically Morse code. And she's Morse coding to
the old cell, like
old cell, yeah. And it's Willman. And basically, what's happening is Willman gets it, and he's like, "What the fuck? This is old. This is Luthen's like network."
Which is interesting because Willman, he's like, "Well, you know what? How do you know it's not glitch?" And he's like, "I keep it charged." And it's like, it's so interesting that like they've all moved on from the Axis cell, but at the same time, like, he still kept it charged, like he's still, one day the call might go out again and I would need to be ready.
And so they're like, what do we do? And it's like an SOS.
Yeah.
It's basically like, come pick me up. I need you. Like, it's like the message of like, it's time.
Yep.
And so Willman's like, bro, Cassian's like, fucking Luthen. And like, they're all just like, oh, come on. But Willman's like, dude, this is urgent. Like, this is the one. So they get into like a little argument talking about what do we do, and they decide to go. And so Willman can't go with. Cassian and K2SO and Melshi are going to go. And they take an experimental brand new ship that is one of the coolest looking fucking ships around.
I don't know if it's experimental, but it's a new ship for that we haven't seen before in the show.
Yeah, it's the U-wing.
I think it looks sick as fuck. I love the U.
I think it looks cool.
Good. We gotta give a round of applause to Disney for coming up with the U-wing. because for years the rebellion needed their own like troop transport ship, and this is a damn good because like in Legends it was always just a fucking Republic gunship.
Yeah. Well, I feel
like,
like in Legends it was kind of lazy because like most of the ships it was like, well, they already exist. I'm just going to use the thing that already exists. I don't want to have to describe a new ship. I don't want to have to like there are
but
some
I mean
new
it made
ships,
sense to like also like hey the rebellion would get some old hand-me-downs from the Republic. And like that's the good guy ship from from that universe. It should be the good guy ship for this one. But like I love the design of the U-wing. I like the you got they figured out a way to have the wings lock into attack position.
Now, the other thing though is they don't want him to go. The rebels don't want Cassian to go.
No.
And they're like, "Hey, you can't take this. You can't go." And Cassian's like, "Fuck off."
So remember, like it was like in previous, like the previous 3 episodes, they were like, "Hey, there's protocols," and he's like, "Well, the second that I'm not allowed to leave, I'm gone."
Yeah.
This is then the next sequence where he's like, "Well, I'm gone then."
Yeah.
And now there's actually protocols in place of like, "Well, if you leave, we're gonna shoot you down when you try to come back."
Yeah. Now remember, Bix is not here anymore. Bix is out, and so
they effectively don't have a friend on base if they leave this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so so they leave, and they go to Coruscant. Now, this is where you start getting into a couple things. So, the first one is the rebels are. So okay, let me get into the whole Daedra shows up again. So, they're at Luthen's shop, the Imperials, and they're trying to get access to the old radio. They are trying to figure it out, and then they figure it out that like, oh, it's on an old. What if they're using our literal network, right?
Yeah.
And so they find out they get a signal. They get a signal from Clea, and they're like, wait a minute, we found a signal. Like what's going on?
Where is this from?
So here's where Daedra shows up. Daedra is now stripped of her rank, and she's just sitting in a cell. And the guy who took over for her comes up to her, and he's like, "This is what he's dead. This is what's going on."
That's right.
He's like,
You're
"I need your
right
brain."
about that.
Yeah, he's like, "I need your brain. I can't figure this out." And she's like, "Well," she was like, "if anything, like you should try like maybe an Imperial signal. Maybe like they've been hiding within us and stuff." If I remember correctly, that's how like it goes down, and that's when they do the thing, and then they're like, "Oh."
They start tracking using that, yeah.
Yeah, they start to use that to track, and so that's the last we see of her until the.
That's right. I totally forgot about that. Like she, unrepentant. She's like, I'm still gonna try to help my side.
It'll help. She's
thinking it'll help her.
Fascists are dumb. Anyway, so they're like, okay, we're gonna get into the building. And we see it's like Storm ISBs. It's like they're like ISB.
They're the ISB
like,
Stormtrooper equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool. They're wearing Stormtrooper armor, but they're like not to the full extent. And the guy goes with her. What's his name? Goes with her or with them to find her. So they know the area where she's at. They just don't know.
They know the apartment complex.
Yeah, they know the apartment complex. They just don't know where the fuck she is. So they're like looking for her, and K2SO decides to land the ship by there because they're like, we know where she's at, and so they land, and the Imperials are going in the building, and they surround the building, all that stuff. And Cassian, before the Imperials go in, they've landed. Cassian goes inside the apartment complex with Melshi to go get her. So the Imperials aren't there yet. They're not there yet. But K2SO is sitting there in the ship just watching. And they go up, they meet her. She explains everything, you know. She's like, here's what's going on. She says all the words, you know, Calkite, fucking Urso, all those things. Like, she's got all
Calkite, Urso, Stardust.
Yeah. Death
Jeddah.
You know? Yeah, Jeddah, all that. And so
Kyber.
Yes, Kyber is the big one. So that whole sequence happens. They're like, okay, we gotta get you the fuck out of there. And then communications is blocked. They're like, K2.
Which K2 like suddenly gets the like, hey, I can't hear them. time to go killing.
Yeah, he sees the Imperial ship show up. The Imperial ship is cool because it's like the the winged ones. What are they called?
Yeah. Lambda.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different because it's an ISB one, so it looks a little different. It actually kind of looks
Yeah.
cooler in my opinion. I thought it looked cooler.
It looks pretty cool. I liked it. Yeah.
So the ISB agents are going in there and they're trying to investigate where she is and all that. They can't find her. They're underneath her. They kind of figure out like a way to pinpoint her location. So as they go up, K2SO is like, I'm gonna aid them. They're my friends.
It's kind of fun to see him being like, actually, we should talk about this too. There's a sequence when they're flying in to Coruscant, and K2SO goes, he's like, I was at a parade at Coruscant once. The Emperor was there. And he's saying it with a little bit of pride, actually. Which it kind of unnerves the other two a little bit. They're like, they forget that he, like, what he is a little bit, I think.
And people were also comparing that scene to the birthday parade this weekend as well.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
Womp womp. Anyway, so K2SO walks on the bridge, and they're like, oh, hey, we have a... Well, first he takes out the pilot for their ship.
No. First he walks across the bridge.
Yes, no, yeah. First he walks across the ship, or the bridge, you're right.
And the guy's like, are you with us? And he's like, no.
And then he just goes, boof, and he hits
the
guy and goes
flying.
flying.
The guy and fucking sends him flying. I just love that.
Yep.
Are you with us? No.
Yeah. He takes out everybody on the first floor, the pilot, the whole 9 yards, takes all of them out, goes up, and there's already a firefight. Now there's a firefight between everybody in the apartment complex with the ISB agents and Melshi and all those guys. And just when you think they're going to lose, all of a sudden, K2SO shows up.
Yeah.
And like the Terminator of Star Wars just fucking obliterates that entire team. He picks up the ISB agent that took over for Daedra and uses him as a human shield. I'd like to tell you, he doesn't need to do that. He's essentially blaster proof, at least right now. Not like from Rogue One. He is blaster proof.
It is kind of weird that like 3 days later you can kill an interrogation droid with one shot, like Jin does.
I think it was armor piercing or something like that.
I don't know because that was like
I don't know. But let's just say, look, he doesn't need to pick that ISB agent up as a shield. He's just doing it for fun.
For fun.
He takes out the entire unit and then shows up and is like, hello. And they're all like, oh, shit. Okay, great. But before they get taken out, a stun grenade goes off and Kleia gets fucked up. She gets hurt.
Damn, dude, those stun grenades were rough. In the Star Wars universe, because like it concusses Andor and Melshi, but it like puts her into a goddamn coma.
Yeah, she gets fucked up. But they escape. They get off Coruscant and they fly back to Yavin, and Yavin, nobody wants to talk to them. Everybody's like, "Who the fuck is this?" And
they say something to the effect of like, "It's a good thing General Draven's not here because he would have just shot you guys the fuck down." Or not General Draven. The general of the Starfighter Corps, blue leader.
Yeah, but they land, and Cassian's like, "You gotta help her," and they're like, you gotta help her," and so they end up helping Kleia, and then in the room, in the meeting room, you got Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, Admiral Raddus, and I don't remember if they're talking to. Are they talking to him? They're talking to.
There's a couple of like there's the squabbling senators that were in Rogue One.
But are they talking to what's his face right now? Where he's like, you don't know where I am. Fuck it.
No, that was I think that was at like the beginning of the episode.
Yeah,
I think that was like the beginning of episode like the last episode of the sequence.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Because they were trying to establish the paranoia that Saw had been under. That's the other thing that I wish we had gotten out of 5 seasons was just watch Saw's descent into madness a little more. Because like he seemed fine in the first season. He seemed like a little more unhinged at the first half of the season, and then all of a sudden it was like, You have no idea where I am.
Well, he's higher now. He's
He's
a drug addict. He's a huffer. Seventh heaven. I'm gonna bring it up again. No. Yeah. So they're kind of like they learn about the Death Star, and the rebel leaders are kind of like unsure if they believe the intel. And Cassian's like, for once now, Cassian's like, Luthen died. Luthen's fucking dead. He died for this. And I know Luthen is a liar and a piece of shit, but he's fucking dead. And if Luthen's gonna fucking die for something, you know that shit is real. Yep. And that's the big one where they're like, bro, I don't know if we could trust. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? And the whole Rebel Alliance is like hesitant, and they're like all clinging to like diplomacy and this and he's like, you're literally in a fucking rebellion.
People in this room who still think that there is a chance for a diplomatic solution.
He's literally like, you're in a fucking base with weapons for a fucking rebellion, and you think there's like diplomacy right now? He's like, are you fucking kidding me? People are dying. He's like, get the fuck out of it. And he's like out of term, if you will, with them. And they like call him out and stuff.
Well, you're out of
line. He's just like, he's like, I'm the reason you're all here.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. He is the reason for all of it. Kleya technically is the reason, but he's like the reason they're there.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of a big deal because you have those, like you said, those Rogue One senators that are like, well, I don't know. It's like, come on, really?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. So what does Cassian do? Tells him to go fucking shove it.
Yeah. He's like, if I'll get the proof myself.
Yup.
And that's when I liked this interesting sequence too, because like Bail Organa comes to Cassian's house, and I love when K2SO's like, the man you don't like is here.
Yeah. He goes to talk to him, and he's just like, look, man, because they're all like freaked out. They're still like, it's not that they're like dismissive of everything. They are kind of freaked out. Mon Mothma's like, what?
The bureaucracy has followed Mon Mothma from the Senate to, like, basically we get to see the rebellion go from like this, just like, think about the rebels that we saw in Yavin at the beginning of this season on that planet, squabbling and fighting and shooting at each other, versus this group now who are like, Captain Andor, you are officially grounded for insubordination. Go to your quarters and remain confined until further notice.
Yeah.
Your grief council will be arrive shortly. Your pay will be docked. And he's like, the fuck is this, man? I'm here to kill Imperials.
Yeah. And we see Mon Mothma and her cousin just chilling, right? Like a couple times. We have this like really interesting montage throughout the whole end of the episode. But So here's one thing. So Kleya.
Also, Mon's hairstylist definitely didn't make it to the planet.
Yeah.
It looks
bad.
Like, they went from making her look beautiful to like terrible.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. It looks terrible. Haircut really that she has in Andor.
It's a bad cut. But before we go into the montage at the end, Kleya doesn't want to be there. Kleya doesn't think she belongs there. It's not really home. She's scared. She thinks those people hate her because of Luthen and all this other stuff. And Cassian has reassured her, like, no, dude, you're gonna be fine. Like, I'll make sure you're okay. And she is now, getting better. And Kleya knows, what's her face? Mon's cousin. What's her name? Oh my god. Vel. Thank you. For some reason I was thinking of her in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But Vel knows her, obviously. They have a close relationship. And so Vel comes up to her and was like, oh, is she okay and everything? But she's not there. She left. She ran outside and is freaking out. She ran outside with like a tarp or whatever, like kind of like a hoodie or whatever on, a poncho. Everybody with the ponchos, everybody in Star Wars now with ponchos. But she's soaking wet. She's like, I got to get out of here. I don't know if I belong here and all that. And Vel finds her and brings her to her place, and they like start talking and stuff. And Vel's like, "You'll be fine. Like, you are gonna be okay here. Like, we'll protect you. You'll be all right. Like, you've done quite literally enough. Like, we got you."
Yeah.
And that's a big scene because it kind of and she's like, you're home kind of thing. It kind of reassures Kleya that like, you are very important, and like just like everybody to the rebellion, it's not just about intel though, like, right, like We are fighting for everyone. Like, you are home, if you want to consider this home. Like, this is your, like, you are important to us.
You built this.
You built this, but also you're also home. Like, we're gonna protect you just because of who you, like, just because of you being existing. Like, in general, like, you don't have to be a rebellion person to be protected by the rebellion. The rebellion is for everybody. And so it's like kind of like reassures her, like, you know, you're gonna be okay. But yeah, like, you built this rebellion. That we exist because of you. So that's a whole really great sequence. But at the end, Cassian's walking off because he's preparing for his next mission, and he's got to get a couple peeps. Got to get a couple peeps, a couple homies.
Squad.
Yeah, what's the squad up, man? What is the squad? What does the squad consist of?
Isn't it just K2SO and Melshi?
Yes, but he's got to get a couple other people. What is it? Tivik, right? Is it Tivik? No. What? Who are the guys?
What are you talking about?
The thing to lead up to Rogue One.
No, he's going to. There's the rebels have a spy in Saw Gerrera's network, Tivik.
Yeah.
He's gonna go. He's not going to get him. He's going to find out the info from him.
Oh yeah. That's right.
He's not building a squad from that.
That's right.
I think what you're confused about is that the squad that goes to Scarif with him runs by while he's getting ready to go get on his ship.
That's what I was thinking about. Yes, Melshi and K2 are like his homies. Those are the guys.
Yeah. Melshi is doing PT with a bunch of with the squad that eventually becomes the squad that goes and dies on Scarif with him.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
K2SO is on the ship waiting for him to fly off to.
At the end, we get the montage, and it's really sad because we see that stuff in the montage, and you're like, you already know. Because if you've seen Rogue One, you already know.
You already know.
Everybody dies. Everybody dies.
Well, and it's what's crazy too is as he walks by, he sees the Force healer, and she looks at him. She's smiling, and she sees him, and then she like gets very solemn, and it's like, oh, this is the future that she predicted. She knows something's about to happen.
She knows it's about to go down. And yeah, so we get the before like the beginning of the montage, we have this really cool scene with Partagaz, who is talking to Krennic, and Krennic's like, I don't know if I can help you.
I can't save you anymore.
And he's like sitting there in the room, the big, you know, office room that they have and all that, and he goes, Death Star. What a like, and he calls it, he's like, you know, that doesn't really give a lot of confidence in the name there.
Yeah.
And Krennic like kind of like winces at the name because he's like, fuck. Like, I can't, because Krennic's in charge of like the development technically of the Death Star, like, right? So,
yep.
He's hearing that other people know about it that aren't really supposed to know about it. He's like, fuck. And, yeah, and I
think Partagaz is technically not supposed to know about the Death Star, but because he's the head of ISB, he knows about the Death Star.
Exactly.
And I think Krennic is now realizing the depth of his failure to keep this thing a secret.
Yep.
To his credit, though, that thing's been being built for 20 years now, and you're managed to keep it quiet until now. Pretty impressive.
Not bad. But yeah, so the Krennic leaves, but the other ISB agent, the guy who's clearly going to take over for Partagaz, the one bald dude, I forgot his name.
His lackey.
Yeah, he shows up, and he's in the room with Partagaz, and he's like, so here's the deal. You know, I got two guys posted out front, and he's like, they're talking, and he goes, he sees a gun get brought out, right? He sees a weapon, a blaster get brought out by Partagaz, and he just looks at Partagaz, and he already knows what's going to happen, and he respects that. That's the thing that I think this ISB agent is a little bit different, because it's like, he knows, we have to take Partagaz in to go to jail, right? We know you're going to go, you know where you're going, all that stuff. But he lets him opt out. And the coolest part of the scene is he walks out, the two guards are there, and he just stares at the guards, and he's just like, we're going to, stand here. And then all of a sudden, you wait a little bit, it's quiet. Then you hear a blaster shot. And the two stormtroopers move to go in, and he just puts his hand up like, stop. And they just like, they stop, and then he puts his hand down, and they just stand there. And I was like, oh my God. It felt like something out of a World War II movie with like a Nazi officer killing himself or some shit, right? Like that's the type of vibe it brought out.
It really did.
Holy shit.
It was
That
awesome.
scene was intense too. So, but yeah, then we get the montage. And I know you had a
Montage
couple of favorite
beautiful.
scenes in the montage. This was
I mean, like I loved Daedra just sitting in Narcana 5 sobbing to herself. Or not in Narcana 5, but like a facility similar to Narcana 5.
Yeah. Yeah. That
sobbing
one is,
to herself because the machine has eaten her.
yeah. And she realized, I mean, that thing is like, they're all replaceable.
Yeah.
All of them are
All of
replaceable.
them.
Yep. So that's pretty intense. I liked the Bail Organa saying, if I die fighting the Empire, I want to go down swinging. Oh, that was good.
Yep.
We see Yavin 4 has now evolved into the rebel base that is a
The
New
sprawling
Hope.
rebel structure that we see in
Yep.
Rogue One and A New Hope.
And then we see Cassian. He departs and he's edging towards, his destiny.
Edging
Right.
towards destiny.
Yep. And then we have the last one. I'll let you say the last one.
We get to see a montage, or the last sequence is just Bix back on that farm world from the very beginning of the season, holding a little baby Andor.
I fucking called it.
You did call it. You called
I
it.
told you. I remember texting you, like, the week the Gorman stuff came out, and she was like, "I'm leaving." I was like, I was
You're
very
like-
big on
you're
like,
she's pregnant.
I know, and I remember saying,
I've
I was
been
like,
very bad at this because I was like when Rogue One came out, I was like, they're not gonna kill everyone. What about all the toys? And when you texted me, she's pregnant, I was like, that's too cliche. They'd never do that.
so
Turns out
here's
they
the thing.
did.
I was like big on, okay, Bix is his world, right? His galaxy, and she knew
He would have quit the rebellion for her.
exactly. But if he knew that she had a kid, he would be gone that day. They'd be
Yeah.
out of there.
He's
And
like,
she didn't want
our
that.
fight's over.
Exactly. She knew that to protect the kid and her, he has to stay.
Yep.
And so she voluntarily was like, to protect the whole galaxy and everybody, including myself and this kid, I have to leave. And I just remember being like, okay, yeah, to protect her, sure, yeah. And I just remember watching it, that scene where she was like, I gotta go, and I'm like, she pregnant. And I was like, that kind of sounds like I was like, they're not going to do well. And I remember texting you and you being like, no. And then that happened. And I did the Leo. I was like, oh. I had the same one like you had it like a year or so ago. I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Man. And I kind of was bummed about it too, because I was like, that's a little bit, it is cliche, but I'm fine with it. I don't give a shit. It was still, we haven't seen that child.
No.
At any point, we haven't.
We probably
seen
never
Bix
will
at any
again. We will never see that child again.
And that's okay. I don't have to. I'm okay with that. That's okay. And that is the end of Andor Season 2, the end of the Andor series. And then you go into Rogue One. Before we get into our thoughts on the season as a whole and kind of like these three and all that, I think we've given a little bit of these three and a little bit of the season of our thoughts, but we're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back. All right, we're back.
All right.
So, Jaden, Season 2, Andor. I liked it.
Fucking sucked. I want more glup shittos and gratuitous cameos of legacy characters.
All right, you
Wah. That's what everyone's expecting me to say. Fuck you. It was good shit.
Yeah.
The only thing I said, I had people message me like, "Why the fuck are you hating on Andor?" And I was like, "No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this can exist with other Star Wars stuff also existing. It's fine. I like this a lot."
I think that I remember telling you, I said I didn't think they could top Season 1, and they fucking did it. Season 2, I personally think is better than Season 1.
That's fair.
And I absolutely loved, I mean, I will still say the Gorman Massacre, those 3 episodes were probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot. I do love the hallway fight that we get, because we finally got a hallway fight, another one, for the
they're
safe
still
house.
innovating.
I thought that was cool.
They're innovating how to do them hallway fights, man. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I mean, I like the sequence, but like I still think the Gorman episodes, those last 3 ones were, God, peak TV, peak Star Wars.
Yeah.
peak like imperial like evil, like, you know, bad things. Like it was like, oh shit, the reality of it hits and all that, you know. So I personally, I don't know. I personally really thought this season was really good. I liked the finale. I thought the finale was a good lead up. The
Yep.
music is depressing. At first, I thought the music was really cool when I watched Andor, and then at the finale, I'm watching it and I'm like really sad. I'm like, they're all gonna die, and it's like that's when you realize though that they are going to die, and they're going to die for a sunrise. You know, they you know won't be able to see. But
I
I
did see
keep
someone was
seeing.
like, isn't it funny how all these people have these horrible, intricate stories, and then this 19-year-old hick comes out of nowhere and steals all the
Okay,
credit?
so that's what I was gonna just say. Here's the thing. I don't think he takes the credit. I view it like this. The rebellion is not about one person. The rebellion is not about, you know, a single group of people or whatever. The rebellion is about everybody. And there are a lot of people. Every single character has a story. Just like in real life, every single person has a story.
Yeah.
And all you got to do, just like the movie Rear Window, right? Like you just got to look into any window in any fucking apartment building or house and you'll find a story. There will be a story. I don't know how compelling it's going to be sometimes, but some more than others maybe,
Yeah.
but you're always going to find a story. And that's why I think like all of these people, it doesn't diminish what they do because
No.
the whole point was to destroy the Death Star. Okay, yeah, one person is going to shoot the fucking thing where it's got to get shot and blow it up. And obviously that person is the badass who fucking actually blow it up. But that doesn't discount the lead up in any
Yeah.
way. It
They
doesn't
needed
at all.
to. These plans were in motion. That Luke was just the right person at the right time to do what was needed to be done.
Exactly.
And like they show too, like that it. For me, what this like, there's a direct correlation all the way back in A New Hope itself.
Mm-hmm.
All these people, they're when the Death Star attack is happening, when they attack the Death Star,
Yeah.
Red Leader fires his shot, and it impacts on the fucking surface.
Mm-hmm.
All of that planning and all that lead up wasn't enough. But you know what? Luke Skywalker was in the right place at the right fucking time, and he had that just little bit more luck to turn the tide and save the day. Luke Skywalker deserves to be a hero because he had that little bit of extra sauce, that force of will, if you will, to do what Andor set up, what Galen
Exactly.
Erso set up, what Jyn Erso set up, what Admiral Raddus set up,
No, and that's the thing. People don't. I don't think people are.
what
taking into
Anton
account-
Merrick set up. I remember Blue Squadron's lead.
I don't
leader's
think
name.
people take into account that like, it's not like Luke had the like. Luke found the plans of the Death Star, and Luke was the one who did. Luke didn't do all of that shit. He just blew it the fuck up and got, you know, Leia with the plans.
Technically, he did find the plans in R2.
Okay, he wasn't seeking them. What I mean is like we're not discount like he blew it the fuck up. Okay, but also this show is you know talking about like, hey, this is how he got the plans. These are all the intricate parts leading up to how the rebellion was created, how the plans were found, and all these things that happened, and how, you know, the rebellion's been fucking around with the Empire for such a long time. None of this is being discounted in any way by him blowing up and getting a fucking medal. Do I think the medal is stupid? Sure. But also, you have to remember, within politics and a rebellion specifically,
Somebody's got to be the hero.
You need heroes, and nobody's saying like they're
Listen,
not saying Cassian's not a hero, but like he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
I can't put a dead guy up on the pedestal and say follow him. Follow him to death.
Martyrs. Yeah, the
Exactly.
rebellion's got enough martyrs. They need a hero who lived.
They need heroes. They need living heroes.
Also, Andor
like-
would be fucking furious to be the hero of the rebellion. He would fucking hate that.
He doesn't want the attention. They're not doing. That's the other thing you got to remember. Even Luke. None of these people were doing it. Well, maybe Han Solo. None of these people were doing it for the attention or the girl. None of these people were doing it for that. The whole point is we're in it together. We're doing it to take them fucking down.
Yeah.
And so I just think everybody like
Han's in it for the reward and the bitches.
yeah, that is Han Solo, and Chewie's just there, you know, to have a good time. So it's, you know, but it was a good show. I fucking loved it. 10 out of 10. Like, the only notes I have was you should have made it 5 seasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
Drag it out a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the show personally, and like these last episodes. What about you? Do you have anything else to add?
Honestly, I think you nailed everything there. I think that this show is some of the best television I've seen all year and in a long time. I think it's something that say it's. I said in a previous episode, this is not some. This is like, I don't know if it's the best Star Wars. I think it is really good television. I think this was really good moments that I think enhanced the Star Wars universe. If that makes sense. I think in terms of like, you know, seeing the guy with the lightsaber flipping around stuff, that's Star Wars to me. So like, I wouldn't say it's like, you know, like that, but like I also think we just got some really good grounded Star Wars. This was peak grounded Star Wars. How about that? This is peak grounded Star Wars. This is Star Wars you show your buddy who's like, I don't like Star Wars. I like Game of Thrones. And you're like, well, good news. Also, really quick side note. I have a buddy who like swears by Game of Thrones being like one of the best things he's ever seen because he's like, because it's real and gritty. And I'm like, motherfucker, there are dragons and demon babies coming out of ladies' vaginas. What the fuck you talking about grounded?
Real? What do you mean real?
Yeah,
that's a fantasy. That's literally though there's a term for it. Fantasy, like
fantasy.
Like, fantasy, like in your wildest dreams, like. Well, I'd say I think you and I are Andor fans. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see where we go from here. I think what do we got? Actually, let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about the Star Wars projects coming up a little bit. I think honestly, we could talk for hours about the glazing that we have for Andor. I think we've done a lot of that. So let's talk about let's talk about like where we go from here. What's the next Star Wars project, Kevin? Do you know?
Well, we have a couple lined up. One of them, I think, for Halloween. We wanted to do it last year, where we had some.
Oh, I was talking about Star Wars in general, not our project on the channel. We'll get to that in a second.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, we have a couple shows coming out. We have a Darth Maul show that I think you and I are like super pumped for. Yep. I'm gonna be very real here. I need to finish Clone Wars. I really need to finish Clone Wars.
Every time you say that, we lose like 7 viewers because they call you.
I know. I watched it when I was a kid, but I never like watched it, and I need to like watch it, sit and watch it. Rebels, you know, it's tie-in to Rebels, post Rebels. It's going to be a tie-in into the Han Solo show because we're going to find out more about like Darth Maul and like how he becomes what he does become.
Yep.
That I think is the biggest thing that was announced. We have more Star Wars Visions that's coming out. That's going to be kind of cool. We haven't really covered Visions because it's not necessarily super connected in canon because they're all their own kind of stories, and like some people have their own like powers and stuff that are a little bit different, forcey stuff. That Visions is its own thing in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we do have that Tales show that just came out that we have not watched yet that we need to watch, and we were talking about, you know, jumping into
I've watched
that.
it, but I don't think we have enough to we don't want to talk about it yet.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
There's a couple projects. We have that Squadrons movie that's supposed to come out with Ryan Gosling.
Yep.
I believe they started filming. Did they start filming already?
I don't know if they started filming yet. I know the cast has been announced.
A lot of people think it's like not gonna go, like they're like, it was announced, but nothing's gonna happen. And I'm like, you get Ryan Gosling, I think it's gonna fucking happen.
Here's the thing: we did a whole episode of the State of Star Wars back in the day. Go listen to it; it was really good if you haven't.
Yeah.
More projects get announced for Star Wars than actually happen.
True.
Or they're like Andor, where they get announced, they have a whole big hype for it, and then they go, on second thought, you get like an episode of this. You don't get 5 episodes of this.
True.
So we'll see. We'll see on anything that's not already actively in production. I don't believe.
Yeah, there's a couple things that are coming out that are gonna look pretty cool.
Like something that is confirmed is the Mandalorian Grogu movie.
Yes, that's coming out.
I'm excited for that one.
Excited for that one. We also had Kathleen Kennedy just announced or released the original cut of Star Wars, the original theatrical cut. She has a copy of it. They have it. and I believe they've already had a showing of it.
They had a showing of it, and she was there personally to be like, "Don't worry, guys, this isn't a bootleg fake one." Like,
it's the OG.
So it's interesting. We might get I could see us getting like, for the, I mean, like, what is the 50th's got to be coming up soon, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they might do like, hey, for the 50th, we're showing like the original unreleased version. Which, by the way, I bet you anything is going to get a lot of some of the newer Star Wars fans be like, well, that looked like shit. I'm glad they did they fixed it.
I heard that they were gonna do like because it's film, you can make it 4K, like a lot.
Oh, do like a 4K
easier.
re-release.
And they were gonna do a 4K re-release, and you could buy the. If they did that, I think they'd make so much fucking money. Like,
see, dude, I mean, physical media. I want that to come back. I want physical media.
Physical media is coming back. We're already kind of going long here, but physical media is coming back. I'm buying Blu-rays like crazy. I fucking you lose so much data in streaming. The streaming wars, streaming's dying. Buy your Blu-rays. Buy them. The more you buy them, the more they're like, oh shit, people are buying this. Also, the more you don't have to pay for a fucking subscription service. You can just watch whatever the hell you want when you want. Also, you don't have to worry about them fucking taking it down anyway. Because you're paying for the whole archive and they're closing off half the archive. You don't want, like, WB Discovery does that. Fuck that.
I was like,
buy physical
media. Looking at you, HBO Max or whatever the hell you are now at this point.
Well, Warner
just
Brothers
casually
Discovery's
deleting the
breaking
Looney
up.
Tunes.
Yeah, Warner Brothers Discovery's breaking up now too, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, so buy your physical media. Go buy some more Star Wars movies. Go buy them. Get a collection. Do it. I don't care. I don't care what your mom says. I don't care what your spouse says. Go do it. I do care. I actually do care. Be friendly. Be respectful. But yeah, with that, I think we're gonna not.
This is the longest episode ever, but it's because we had so much fun talking about stuff.
I know. Well, we do have some episodes in the works. We're gonna be doing some interview.
Oh yeah.
Episodes.
Let's do real quick some teasers of things to come.
So, I'm going to reach out to Vader's Vault.
Yep.
Because he's really fucking cool. I have an interview that I have to finish editing that I did just at Star Wars Celebration with him. He was unbelievably friendly, really cool guy. I want to talk about Star Wars with him, like, forever. We really want to talk about lightsabers and lightsaber combat and like how he takes into account a lot of things and the art he makes, because he just makes a lot of really great stuff. And then Jazzwares, we do want to reach out to them.
Yep.
We talk about, all the new kit. I don't want to say model kits because they're not. They're toys, but they are some pretty highly detailed toys that, I mean, as a kit builder myself, model kit person, it really is like something that I.
Let's do an interesting discussion because, like, respectfully, I don't care for building models. But at the same time, I care for ships, which is so funny because like, I love Star Wars models.
Yeah,
but
and the thing is, like,
build them. I just like
Jaden doesn't have to build these ones; he can just have them.
Correct.
But
I love Lego. It makes no sense. I understand I'm a paradox because I love building Legos, but I also hate building model kits.
Yeah, I build Gundams and I don't have to worry about glue, so that's nice. Yep. But yeah, so we have a couple people lined up that we want to discuss and talk to and get with that. Halloween, we do want to do the Halloween episode that we do have planning this year. I know it's a couple months out, but we don't want to spoil that. Doing it. We will be doing a Halloween special. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing a couple things coming out, and we're gonna have some specific video content that is going to be on the YouTube / maybe some TikTok shorts specifically. So be on the lookout for that. Not just this podcast. Follow us on all the stuff to get some things. We're going to be talking about possibly doing some giveaways for either some items or some
maybe some digital codes for some games.
Digital codes, that kind of stuff. Yeah, like we're planning on it. So be on the lookout. Follow us on everything, all the socials.
Maybe some live streaming too.
Yeah. We will.
We're doing a little bit of a miniature rebrand, so we really appreciate you guys sticking with us. We're gonna some big announcements coming soon that we're really excited about. We can't wait to tell you about, but you'll have to wait a little longer. Maybe end of summer.
Be on the lookout for also in November with Extra Life. We're gonna be doing a little Extra Life thing. I don't know if we'll be on for 24 hours. We may be doing the Extra Life stream like possibly one of us will be on for 24 hours, maybe with the
He
lore party
means
group
himself,
too.
guys. If he's talking about that, he means himself because I don't have time for it.
It might be me.
It might
I
be
might
Kevin.
sleep on camera and everything too. Don't worry. But we'll be playing games. We're gonna be
Oh,
streaming
now
a lot
I'll tune in.
more.
I'll tune in for that.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing a lot of cool, fun stuff. So just follow us and tell your friends and stuff. We really appreciate like all the people we've met, all the people that have been
Absolutely
helping us out and talking to us. So we'll
we are
be
looking
around.
forward to the future.
Yes. So with that, thank you for listening. You can find us at the Lost Cantina on all your socials, as well as you can email us at thelostcantinapod@gmail.com. Hit us up. Don't forget, buy your physical media, and we don't believe in emperors here. But with that, we will catch you on the next one.
Ta-ta.